I didn't get an answer from Brent. I just remembered when I saw you. I'll send another one.
Should we start right at 6:30?
Yeah.
Or you want to wait a little bit?
Ready?
Right at?
Yeah.
I keep pouring it and pouring
Yeah,
it.
I gotta get a photo. It's busy.
Can you hear me in the back? Well, welcome. Tonight, as you know, our program is featuring scams. So you're going to hear personal examples from Sandy and myself, and then Ping will be giving a presentation and pointing out some of the things that perhaps we did wrong. I wanted to mention that I was hoping to mention what September's program will be, but I'm not sure about that yet, so I can't announce that yet tonight. Anyway, Sandy will carry on from here, and we'll get going.
Hi. I am so happy you're here. This is going to be a great program. So what's going to happen is I'm going to tell my story of when I was scammed, and then Ping is going to be talking about what happened. And then Jean is going to do the same thing, and Ping's going to do the same thing. So I have to tell you a little bit about Ping. Ping is an amazing woman. She's 26 years old. I met her through Rover. And Rover is an organization in the United States where you can call them up and say, can someone come over and babysit my dog? Can somebody walk my dog? Can someone come over and just play with my dog and my cat? And they connect with someone, and then we do emails, and we decide on a time, and this young woman showed up. So she entered my life and entered Cindy's life and entered Donna's life for a lot of different reasons. First of all, she spent most of her life in Shoreview. That's where her family lived. And she went to Irondale High School.
Yeah.
And I have to go back a little bit. The reason that she was working for Rover is because she needed extra cash, because she was taking flying lessons right over here at the little airport. And I had the joy of watching her accomplish this. She got her pilot's license about a month ago. It's amazing. Yeah. And the reason that Cindy and Donna know Ping is because she plays violin and has been playing since she's 8 years old. So she plays for the Minnesota River Orchestra.
Mississippi Valley.
Mississippi Valley Orchestra, River Orchestra?
Mississippi Valley Orchestra.
Mississippi Valley Orchestra. How long have you been playing there?
I think 2 or 3 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of our residents here, John, used to play at his French horn, and his daughter now plays French horn in the orchestra. and she visits her dad often. He's over in memory care.
I think John's grandson also plays French horn.
Right,
too.
right.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a tradition here
Yeah.
in Ling Bloomston with French horn players and musicians and all kind of, or several anyways, coming to Mississippi Valley Orchestra. That's been around for how long? 50 years?
Yeah.
50 years. They don't charge a thing. They'll take donations. They don't pay their musicians. And it's fantastic. The music is just, oh, it'll touch your heart. It's just so full, and they have so many musicians. And Cindy and Donna and I are Ping's roadies. We follow her wherever she goes, and we listen to her play. And we often go out for lunch in between. So I'm going to let Ping talk to you about after how she got her degree and how she decided to be in this unusual profession.
Yeah, so after I graduated Irondale, they had an accelerated program for an associate's degree. So I was fortunate enough to graduate with a 2-year degree from high school. So I was like, well, what do I do? Because I only have 2 years of college left, and I want to do something that was practical, but also will save me some money, and then also will make me a decent amount of money. So I went into computer science actually. So from computer science and mathematics, I went to, or I should back up. I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison for college, studied computer science and mathematics. Graduated during COVID, so you can imagine how that job market was right after graduation. Not very good. Found a job working remote out of New York City, so I did that for 2 years, and then once that contract ended, I figured, software development's not for me. How do I go into cybersecurity? Because I remember back at Irondale, they had an AP Advanced Placement Computer Science program, and one of the guest speakers was a cybersecurity consultant. So I reached back out to him. It's like, hey, I remember you coming to our high school talking about this. Do you have any positions open? It really stuck with me. And that company that I work at, Clifton Larson Allen's, where he works at, so he was able to send me over a job opening, and so I applied, and the rest is history. I've been there since 2022, so almost 4 years now. Great team. I like working with the people that I work with. Everyone's super knowledgeable. There's always something to learn, and it's a very male-dominated field, so I was a little shy and nervous going in, like, is this a boys' club? But no, they were super welcoming, super kind, so hard to find. Yeah, question.
Try to speak up. So does your employer, do you provide your services for small, medium, and large-sized business? What's your client base?
Yeah, so the question was, what's the client base? So I am a consultant at Clifton Larson Allen, is an accounting firm, technically, and we have cybersecurity consultants that have to comply, or the banks, credit unions, and other financial institutions that Clifton Larson Allen serves has to comply with, FDIC or HIPAA regulations, all these different regulatory governing bodies. So one of those pieces is cybersecurity compliance, so that's where we serve. So to answer your question, it's a broad range. We serve local counties like Chisago County, all the way down to local credit unions, to Century College, so yeah. But yeah, other things that I do other than play violin and fly aircraft is I like crafting, I like reading, and then I have 4 animals of my own, so 3 cats and a dog. So yeah, pretty busy. But yeah, we can dive into Sandy's story time.
Okay. And you should see Sunshine and Cutie Pie. She'll knock at the door, or she'll ring my doorbell, and Sunshine is just, and then she looks at me, and I say, Ping. She goes, she's so crazy, and Cutie Pie, the cat, comes over and just wraps herself around Ping's leg, and then I go out and do crossword puzzles or knit out in the little. I do what I want to do. I can leave my babies behind, which is lovely, knowing they're having a wonderful time. And Ping also takes Cutie Pie out for a run sometimes when it's not so hot. Okay, so what happened with me, and yes, it was embarrassing, and yes, I did feel and I did feel stupid. How could I have fallen for it? But what happened to me was, and it was probably about 2021, 2022. So I'm going through my emails, and there's an email from Amazon, and I open it, and it tells me that we're sorry, but we were able indeed to send out your it was actually about like $480, not $245, like $480 camera. However, we have not been able to get your payment. We thought we had, but we didn't. And so you are responsible for this payment. And I'm going, oh my gosh. First of all, I was really, really angry, as might be imagined. So that's all on the email. And I'm angry, and I'm thinking, what the heck? What's going on? So I called that number right away. And this very nice man said, we're really sorry you have this problem. And tell me more about it, So I did. And he said, well, you owe this money. And if you don't pay it, there's going to be consequences. And unfortunately, you can't, well, fine, I don't think I owe it. Who could I get in contact with? And I said, never ordered a camera. This is ridiculous. And the guy just kept insisting that Amazon would reimburse me if I let him help me. But the payment had to be paid. So that settled me a little bit, and I slowed down enough to listen a little. And of course, I was still kind of furious. He said, since when does Amazon have time to look at people's payments and decide that this needs? What big company has time to do this? Why am I even being contacted? Why isn't the money, the thing just going over to some credit agency? I don't understand this. I said, well, Amazon has a new department, and I happen to be the supervisor. And what we can do is you're going to have to follow follow what I say, and you'll get repaid. But we've got to satisfy this problem, this payment. And he said, now I'm starting to say, okay, so how do I go about getting this done? And he says, well, first of all, and we've got to have customer satisfaction, so we want you to have a good experience. This is a new department, granted, but I want you to have a good experience with this. So, where else should I go? So, he said, it's going to seem, no, he didn't even say that. He said, I want you to keep your phone on. I want you to get into your car. And I can see where you are, and I can see that there's a Walgreens very close to you. But after I thought about where isn't there a place that there's a Walgreens close by? How can anyway. So I'm kind of slowed down, and he's also, let me help you. This is going to be okay. Let me help you get what you need. Don't you worry. You'll just follow my instructions, and you'll be fine. And I have your best interest in mind. Don't you worry. So I got in my car. I kept the phone on, and the phone line is open. And I drive to my Walgreens, and he says, "You're going to go over to the gift card rack, and you're going to look. We have only certain gift cards that we have made connections with that will allow us to do this. So I want you to look for." Shake and bake, or he gave me 3 different kinds of cards that I should look for. You look for the amount, and it's going to all add up to the amount that you owe Amazon. And we get this, as soon as I tell Amazon that you've got them, they'll write a check to you, and you'll be fine. So I go in the gift card rack, and he's still on the phone, you know, and I said, actually, about this time, I'm starting to feel a connection with him, kind of like we're doing this together, you know, and I've got the phone on. I said, can I let people hear me talk to you? And he said, not really, not really. This, you've got to keep your voice down. I said, okay. So I'm in front of the shake and bake, or shaking something, you know, shake and shake. And I see one here for like $75. He said, great, pick it up. I said, okay, but you're gonna have to get the big number, you know, because you've got a lot of money you've got to pay back. So we can't do the $15, $25. You look for, you know, big amounts. So, okay, well, there's one over here for Sam's shoes or something. It's like $50. Okay, that's a good one, Sandy. You're doing really well. I think we're going to get this done. You just keep it on here. So I accumulated gift cards, and I went to the counter to pay, and the person said, boy, you got a lot of gift cards. And I said, yeah, it's birthdays. My grandchildren have birthdays, you know. Yeah, so, okay. Got the gift cards paid. And then I don't talk to him, but he's got the phone open. But I didn't get all of the money. I couldn't find enough. I think it's 480, 360. I don't even remember for sure. I said, I can't find any more gift cards, you know. They'll say his name was Ike. I can't find more gift cards, Ike. He said, well, go to the car and you read me off the numbers and we'll get this part settled. And as I'm looking, I see that there's another Walgreens not far from you. So let's get these numbers, read the numbers off to me, and we'll get this going. I said, okay, Ike, that sounds fine. We'll get this fixed. Yeah, we'll get this fixed, Sandy. And then he says, let's drive over to the other Walgreens together. Okay. And so I'm driving over, and I'm starting to feel like, this feels like it could be a scam. And I said, Ike, this is feeling like it could be a scam. He says, oh, Sandy, don't even say that. Just go on over to the other Walgreens. And so I'm cooking here. I'm looking over, and there's a police station over here. I thought to myself, he probably really can't see me. So I pull into the police station parking lot, and I get out of the car, and I walk up the steps with the phone open. I open the door to the police station. I walk over to the receptionist. I set the phone down, and I say, I think I might have a scammer on my phone. And click, he hung up. And no, they couldn't follow the line, they couldn't get the number or nothing. So I was out of that money.
Thanks for sharing, Sandy. So yeah, what were some of the red flags? You know, an email from Amazon with an unexpected charge, like, you know, hey, did you actually, you know, order this camera? First thing people usually want to do is go to Amazon.com, check the orders, you know, don't trust an email just because it says, you know, you ordered something and you haven't paid for it, that type of thing. Another red flag was there was a phone number in the email to call, and it wasn't like an Amazon number. So, you know, for example, if it's a 612 number, why would Amazon have a 612 instead of a 1-800 number, you know? So that's another flag. And then, you know, he's trying to pressure Sandy into saying, like, hey, you ordered this, but you haven't paid for it, so we can work together to try and, you know, get this problem settled, so, you know, you get this camera, but did you really want the camera?
I didn't order a camera.
Yeah, so it's
no,
like, well, why is she
on
paying for it?
I did check to see, you know, is it possible that it's there?
Yeah. So that's one thing that scammers really do. They can really build that relationship with you and play on your emotions. Like, you know, you're going to be upset that you're out almost $500 because that's a lot of money for people, especially nowadays. But, you know, it's like, well, I don't want the camera. It's like, well, you have to pay first, then we can order or issue a return and then send you the refund. All this mumbo jumbo. Fourth one was, you know, trying to get Sandy to drive to Walgreens. Like Sandy mentioned, you know, there's a Walgreens somewhere. nearby in America, or you can go to the gas station and do the same thing, and just trying to get her away from whether people, you know, she lived with anyone or people that knew her and saw her on the phone like, hey, why are you doing this? Typically, Walgreens employees are trained to recognize people, you know, if they're buying large amounts of credit cards, to speak up and say something and say like, hey, are you being scammed, or, you know, why are you purchasing so much? Especially if it's not like Christmas time. Like, you know, do your grandkids need 20 Shake Shack gift cards right now? Like, usually no. Then another thing that the scammer said to Sandy was, oh, stay on the phone, it's not a scam, you know. They got really defensive when it was called a scam, so that usually, you know, if it was a legitimate Amazon person, they would verify their credentials in some way. But yeah, good thing Sandy did. I didn't have it on the slide, but, you know, driving to a third location, the police station, and recognizing it, because when you hear Jean's story, it really gets spiraled quick into, you know, you're angry, the emotions, you just kind of enter this kind of fog of war almost, like, oh, I just want my money, like, you know, who's taking it, that kind of thing, because money's a touchy subject for everyone, so, yeah, but that's a precursor to Jean. We could dive into your story.
Okay, here's about the most stupid story you'll ever hear. And as Connie told me this afternoon, she said, I was thinking about this and it still makes me mad. Anyway, I get up on July 13th, 1922, open up my email, and I have an email indicating that I have been billed for an antivirus program. And I had canceled that 2 or 3 years before. So my anger took over immediately, and it said, if you have any questions about this, call this helpline. Well, that's the first mistake I made. And I called when I was really angry. And the guy on the other end, what is amazing to me is how quickly he took over my mind, and I felt comfortable with him. And so one thing led to another, and he kept reassuring me, you know, I'm sorry that this has happened, and we'll get this solved. And he said, go on this website, and you can report what happened to about the antivirus. So I did. And one of the questions was, how much did it say that you were to pay for this? So I started typing that in. And as I was typing, the amount jumped to $10,000. And I said, oh my God, I was in a panic. And he said, yes, this is very serious because this goes directly to the bank, and we'll have to do some extra things to recover this. So here I was mad when I started. Now I'm mad and frustrated, but this guy has gained my confidence, and no one has ever gotten in my mind like he did, and especially in 15 minutes. So that's where we started. So the deal was that I had to repay the $10,000. Well, Connie was away with our only car, so I went next door to our neighbors and borrowed their car and went to the bank and took out $10,000. So now I have $10,000 in my hand, and he's on the phone, and I am to go and buy Bitcoins. Well, I barely knew what they were. And I didn't know where to buy a Bitcoin, but I found out that the BP station about 5 miles away had a Bitcoin machine. So I went into the BP station and started putting in Bitcoins. and I reached the maximum that I could buy. And I forget how much I had put in, but I think it was about 5,000. So then he says, well, you'll have to make up the difference in gift cards. Well, it turned out that the Target was right near the BP station out in Woodbury. So I went into Target and I bought a few $1,000s worth of gift cards. Went out in the car and I thought, it's been an hour or so. I think I need to get this car back, and I know Connie will be home. But I had started reading some of the numbers off from each gift card to him. But I'd only gotten a few of them read, and I thought, I think I'm going to take the car back. So I told him I'm taking the car back and getting my own car. So I return home, and Connie is home at the time. And as I walk in, I have the phone in my hand, and she said the strangest look on my eyes and in my face. She said, "What is the matter with you?" Well, I started to call her, to tell her, and she said, "Give me the phone." Well, she had to wrestle the phone away from me because I didn't want to give it up, but she finally convinced me that I should give up the phone, and then she went and hid it. So this guy is now on the line, hidden somewhere in the bedroom. And he was on the phone the entire time from when I had initially called him. That's important to recognize. So, where am I? In the end, I had a few dollars left from the 10,000, but it cost me $7,900 between the bitcoins and what the cards that I had read off. And there's no way of getting a penny back from any of these. And that's just the first part of the story. Then you have to start canceling and getting new credit cards and blocking your bank accounts, and it's just a painful mess. So that's my story. And I'll finish by saying that there's two things I want to share with you. In March-April issue of ARP, they have a really good 13-page article about frauds and scams. And I'm going to get this copied or somewhere. We need to get this where it's accessible to you, because it's very good. The second thing is, and Ping, you can say something about this, but in this article they indicate that 40% of Americans have been scammed of money or their identity. And the cost is enormous. It's in the billions of dollars. And in fact, in the state of Minnesota, it was estimated in 2024 that these losses were $144.6 million in scams. And the second thing to know and to share with any of your friends who get scammed is that starting this year, Minnesota is the first state that now has a reimbursement program for some of the scams. It's only $5 million in size, but it comes from penalties and other things that are collected by the state. So there is a place for people who get scammed now in Minnesota to try and get some of their money back. And that's my story. And I'm still mad, and I still do not understand it. But I'll tell you what, don't ever assume that you will not be scammed. These are really clever people. And I'll just tell you that yesterday, I belonged to the Geek Squad at Best Buy. I had a scammer that tried to get to me through the Geek Squad. it indicated that my dues for the next 2 years were $529. Well, I happen to know that I already paid them, so I just deleted it. And again, it was, if you have questions, call this helpline. I mean, I suspect it's going to get worse with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I'll touch on that later, but
That's my story.
Pink's going to tell us more about scams and scammers. And what is that? Liars and the lying liars who, scams and scammers who scam us.
yeah, guess we can gauge the audience. What were some red flags you noticed about Jean's story? I can put you guys to the test. Bitcoin, that's a big indicator. Usually, you know, for Norton Security or Geek Squad or Amazon, these people are not going to ask you for Bitcoin, you know, and they already have your bank account on file or your credit card, or, you know, they have ways to securely get that information and not over the phone. And, you know, if you feel uncomfortable, it's not rude to say, hey, I don't feel comfortable giving you my credit card over the telephone. Is there a way I can do this online, or, you know, visit Best Buy and, you know, do it in store, that type of thing. But yeah, what other red flags you guys notice? Yeah.
You know, it just seems logical that no company is going to want to be paid in gift cards,
Yeah.
which would be a first clue. What have you heard about using Zelle and Venmo?
Zelle and Venmo, yeah. So the red flag was, you know, gift cards, kind of a red flag for companies. You know, why would they want gift cards as payment? So what about Zelle or Venmo or PayPal, those kinds of things? That's also really common. You know, nowadays Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist is very popular for people to buy and sell things, you know, instead of garage sales. And so, you know, people will ask, oh, do you take Venmo? Do you take PayPal? Those methods are more secure, but you have to be really careful about who you're paying as well. Because, you know, if you type in Sandy Peck 1 and that's your email address versus Sandy Peck 2, and you send the money to Sandy Peck 2, then, you know, Sandy Peck in, you know, Texas or something will get that money, and PayPal can't issue a return or anything because they have those acknowledgments in place, like, you know, oh, I acknowledge that I am paying who this money is being sent to, and PayPal is not responsible. So that's another thing scammers will try to do, is just try to get you to send money to an email address or a phone number. But yeah, good question. Yeah.
At my bank, we're not allowed to take more than $5,000 a day out of our account.
At her bank, they're not allowed to take more than $5,000 per day out of your account.
Right.
That's what you said.
Yes. And so I never asked them to put a cap on it. But the other day I was there because my daughter was buying a car and I had her money in my account. They wouldn't give it to me. They said, no, your limit is only $5,000 a day.
I think,
Go back tomorrow, I'll get the rest, but not today.
Even
Yeah.
when her daughter needed a car, the bank still said no.
They didn't care.
They didn't care, just $5,000. I'm trying to repeat the questions for those who can't hear,
I mean, when you said
or
you
the
only
statements.
got $10,000, I couldn't have done that.
yeah,
I probably would take 5.
I think that 5,000 limit, it's not recent, but it's kind of more of a safeguard so the bank itself has some sort of cash, you know, left there so they're not cleaned out, but also to help prevent scams as well. Because I think if you deposit a certain amount too, they kind of flag you like, oh, why does this person need to deposit 10 grand in cash, and yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I have a question. Was that email and maybe others you got, did they go directly into your email? Because our provider, most of it goes into spam.
Can
Yeah,
you repeat the question?
The question was, did the email Gene received go directly into his inbox? Because some email providers, such as Google and Yahoo, have like spam filters that kind of filter it out. I don't know if you want to answer. Did that email go into your inbox?
Yes,
Okay.
And it went into my inbox also.
right. It was like a regular email, just like the one yesterday. It looked exactly like it was from Best Buy.
Yeah.
Now I have some slides later that will show, you know, these types of emails and some red flags you can see as well. But there's a question in the back.
Not only that, I had a scammer come to me, and it was on the phone, and they will also impersonate one of your children.
Yep.
It will be, no doubt, the sound of it. How they do that, I don't know.
Yeah, an audience member said a family member impersonated one of her children or grandchildren, and it sounded exactly like this person that she knew on the phone. And it's like, now with AI, you can get voice changers, and for example, if, you know, someone posts a video of you or someone else talking online, they can take it and then try and copy it and mimic it and play it on the phone, like,
But
you know.
I called my daughter there and said, because they said that I said, well, I can't imagine him being held at a trailer.
Yeah.
And he said, I will put him on the line for you. And I said, okay. So he put him on the line, and it was, without a doubt, it was him. So then I said, okay, thank you, sir. I said, I'll get you the money. Well, then I hung up. He said, well, I'll give you my number so you can call me back. I said, okay, you do that. So then I called my daughter, and I said, is your son okay? He said, yeah, I just talked to him just a minute ago. I said, okay, that's all I needed to know.
That's good.
Never did tell her.
Yeah. So
So then I tried to call this guy back, and I called him, tried, but he finally stopped.
oh, okay. Yeah, so the audience member said, you know, the scammer impersonated her son or pretend to be a correctional officer, you know, saying, hey, you have a collect call from so-and-so county jail, your son is in, or your grandson's in jail. And so she said, oh, can I talk to my grandson, make sure he's okay? He said yeah, and then they played a recording of her grandson's voice, and it sounded exactly like him. And, you know, you'd hope you'd recognize your grandson's or grandchild's voice. So she hung up, like, oh, okay, I'll get the money, what have you. She called her daughter, this grandson's mother, to see, you know, hey, is so-and-so okay? And she's like, yeah, I just spoke to like my son on the phone, so he's okay. And then she tried to call the scammer back, but they didn't answer or something. But yeah, with AI nowadays, that's really scary what they can do.
I'll mention that in this ARP article, one of the things they recommend is that we all set our phones to silent, so that anyone that does not have anyone whose phone number is not in our phone, we do not get a direct call. It goes into the box, and that way you can look at them and see what it is. And it's amazing. I have mine set that way, and if you tried to call me, as some of my golf friends have, and I don't answer, I'm not good at answering the mobile phone anyway, but if your number isn't in my phone, it's probably not going to be responded to.
I don't answer stuff from any area code.
Yeah.
I don't put it on silent.
Pardon?
Put your phone on silent or turn it all the way off?
No, you go into the phone app,
Yeah.
and down in the app it says silent.
Oh.
Question? Yeah.
But you know, as a caller, I called a friend a couple days ago, and it went into this recording, wanting my name, and then they would see if they would answer the phone. I mean, as a caller, it was irritating to me. It's like, just put the call through, you know? So that must be a different recording than what you put in, Gene.
Yeah, there was a comment from the audience member, you know, they tried calling someone and they were put through this automated system, oh, who, you know, what's your name and what's your reason for calling, and like a screening process that the person chooses.
Call screening.
Yeah, call screening. So, you know, it's kind of frustrating as a caller to try and go through that, but it's nice because a lot of these robo-scam calls or automated calling methods, you know, they won't do that, so then the call screening will just hang up. So It's annoying to deal with, but it does help protect people. To build on what Jean said, I was raised in a generation where we were told, you know, don't answer the phone for anyone you don't know, don't answer the door for anyone you don't know. So, you know, now I don't pick up my phone unless I have a contact saved, and if the contact's not saved in my phone and they need something, they can leave a message and I can call them back.
And
But yeah.
mine, when somebody calls and they don't leave a message, it says potential scam
Yeah.
or spam, I don't know which it says, but, you know, so they don't.
That helps too, yeah. Nowadays they have caller ID or call screening that says, oh, this number is a potential scam.
Right.
So that helps. Yeah.
The other thing I noticed, I would find something on Facebook, and I put in my Visa number. I have an Apple iPad, and it wouldn't process the purchase because they said this is a scam. So Apple products have a built-in higher firewall, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, Apple products. If you do a lot of online shopping, a lot of the new like Google Pay, Apple Pay have like scam fraud risk ratings. So, you know, if they detect that you're entering your credit card into a website that's a little iffy, they'll block it. Yeah, I saw a question. Yeah.
There are a lot of 800 numbers that come through that are from medical offices, rather to confirm an appointment or something like that, which is hard to understand if they don't leave a message.
Yeah, so there's a question or a comment saying, you know, there's a lot of calls nowadays from medical institutions that, you know, want to schedule appointments or do all these different things, but they're kind of hard to understand because, you know, it's an automated system calling you, trying to confirm an appointment, but they reach your voicemail and, you know, it gets all jumbled up. My advice for that is just to call your healthcare provider directly, and you know, it might be a hassle to go look up the health partners or whatever number, Fairview number, but try not to, yeah, confirm it that way.
My experience is that most of those calls are appointment reminders.
Yeah, a lot of them are appointment
I've got
reminders.
5 different people that call me to remind me, and I irritate me because I track down stuff.
Yeah, a lot of those calls are appointment reminders or surveys, like, you know, how did your appointment go? It's like, well, you know, I'm still alive. I think it went good. So,
This has been very good, but I think we have a presentation from Ping that we should hear.
yeah. Well,
And then we'll come back to questions again.
yeah, we got tons of time. I can stick around longer if there's lots of questions. But yeah, I'll go over different types of threats and scams that are available. Sandy very helpfully printed a lot of the stuff that is in the presentation out on the handout, so you guys can, you know, follow along, take notes, or just reference it when you get back to your rooms. But the first one related to Jean and Sandy's is phishing. So that's, you know, email phishing, text message phishing, just some type of scam pretending to be someone you know or is reputable, whether that's a family member, Amazon Geek Squad. A really common one around the holidays is, you know, you have a package at USPS that hasn't been delivered or picked up, so they'll text you. Usually the post office won't text you since they're busy, and also they can leave a postage note on your box. But anyways, so phishing is often the first thing scammers will do before moving to other attacks. So whether that's getting you on the phone by having you call a number in the email, or having you know, send money directly to an email address from the email, or just, you know, having you reply like, you know, oh, hey, this is your long lost college roommate, or a friend of your college roommate, and I want to catch up, you know, romance type scam. So some examples here. Hopefully this is large enough for everyone. So there's some key indicators. So for example, it says here, oh, this email is from service@support.amazon.com, but then in this lighter gray text, it's a bunch of gibberish. So that, you can always compare these two different email addresses in your inbox to see if they match up. Another one, as someone mentioned before, Google, Yahoo, AOL is usually very good at filtering out these different emails, but if they don't, sometimes they will throw this banner up, like, we've disabled links, make sure this message is not spam, that kind of thing. A lot of these scam emails also have typos, like random spaces, an extra letter, why is there a W after 2, that kind of thing, and then a link or a phone number to direct you to a different place. I'm sure you guys have gotten a lot of these. I get a lot of these into my inbox as well. It's just the nature of having email nowadays. Another one, is gift cards. You can get claim your Netflix gift card, and you just have to click here and fill out the survey. But, don't click out into this email because then they want to harvest your information and maybe use it for later. Like, oh, what's your name? Where do you live? What's your phone number? What kind of shows do you like? They can use all that information you give them to maybe write you a different email later and tailor it to you as an individual to get, more ways in. And then, here the email body has 2 question marks. What's that about? And then why is Netflix emailing from? That's really small to see, but it says info@foodstampnews.com. So, I don't think Food Stamp News and Netflix have much to do with these things. Text messages I mentioned. A lot of these scams they come from emails, or they come from different countries, or, different area codes, and they always want you to visit a link, or, for example, tolls around the holidays too, people drive, and so, if around here, if you're driving in the Midwest, a lot of it's Easy Pass, right? So if it's not an Easy Pass toll text, then, what is Peach Pass? That toll violation, that's probably a scam, but again, best practice if you want to go verify that you have outstanding tolls or outstanding, packages that need to be delivered or picked up, just go to the Easy Pass website directly just to verify, or call your local post office and have the mailman check for you. So here, we can do a group activity. Do you see anything that's wrong with this email? It is, too little, okay. I was a little worried about that. So, there's a number in the email body, so just call this. It says to validate your identity and unfreeze your Amazon account, call this support number immediately, and provide your billing address, username, and password. And there's some typos, there's some weird spacing issues, and then also a phone number to call. And there's a lot of ways that it's trying to create a sense of urgency. Your Amazon account is suspended. Oh no, your account has been locked. All these different types of things. So next time you get a spam email, you can look closely. Just sit there before you delete it. Just train your eye to see, these are what's wrong with the contents of the email, to get used to, to kind of build up that skill. Any questions so far? Yeah.
I think on a couple slides back, you highlighted the sending email address into your inbox.
This one?
Yeah, what I wanted to say was that many scams have got a particularly long email address with a lot of alphanumeric characters that are clearly not Amazon.com or anybody. So when you see a really odd sending email, that's a clue for you to digest.
Yeah, audience member had a great tip. If you see a really long sent from email address, it's usually a scam. Or now what I do when I train my clients is I do amazon.us.org, which is a fake domain, but so just make sure you compare the two. If it's really long and it has a bunch of numbers and letters and looks like gibberish, that's a good indicator. Or if it's Amazon.com and then Amazon.org and it doesn't match up, that's also another good indicator. But yeah, great tip.
Go back a couple more, there's like that, no, not that
This one? Okay.
I've got one of those on my computer right now and I can't get rid of it.
Oh,
How do I get rid of that?
Did it come up on your webpage?
It flashed up on the side.
oh, that you might have to clear your notifications.
And I don't know how to get rid of it.
Okay.
I've gone to my, like Norton, and then it's done a scan and everything's fine, but I can't get rid of that on my side.
Okay.
Did you restart your computer,
I have, yes, I
turned it off?
turned it off, left it off, because I won't leave it on with that on.
Okay, but when you log back on, still that
Yep,
reappears?
it comes back on every time.
Desktop or laptop?
It's a laptop.
I'm seeing it off.
Yeah. Yeah, Jack is always helping people with this, with their computers.
Yeah, I get it. Usually one of the three are all available. Just write Sophie's Cafe, you'll see, I will sign.
He sets up shop in Sophia's and helps people with their computers
Oh, okay.
at certain times.
Yeah. So an individual in the audience had issues with some IT issues. So Jack is set up in the restaurant. If you need help, he's available. Otherwise, if you see me in the hallways walking the dog, you could stop me and, you know, ask questions as well. But yeah. Okay. The next one we'll go over is remote access scams. So in this scam, scammers persuade you to give access to your computer or mobile device. So again, this can happen through email, like, you know, hey, download the security update that your computer needs from an email. And, you know, that download file could be a remote access tool, and then they have control over your entire keyboard. And same thing with your mobile device. So, you know, if you need to download something, don't download strange stuff from emails unless you know who's sending you the email and you're expecting the file. Because
I have,
join? Oh, okay. This one's not as common, but it is still seen just because it's through, a lot of the access is gained through email phishing, so I figured I should mention it. If, you know, just key factor takeaway, if you get an email asking you to download something or visit the website, and you click into it and it's asking you to download something, it's usually a scam, so just be wary. Yeah, here I mentioned too on the handout, if you receive an unexpected call or email and they claim there's a technical issue with your computer account and asks you to download software, it is most likely a scam. Next one here is romance scams. So this is more related to social engineering. So it's kind of like what happened to Jean. They create an emotional relationship and they use that to take advantage of you and steal money. So a lot of these scams, you know, come from you've met someone online, or maybe it's, you know, a missed connection, and a big indicator that it could be a scam is they don't want to meet up, they don't want to have a phone call or a video call, or they keep making excuses like, oh, I'm going out of the country, I can't meet up with you. They use very intimate language really quick and try to build up the relationship and trust, stuff like, oh, I haven't felt this way before, or, you know, I've never had strong feelings like this, that kind of thing. And usually they have a very conveniently timed personal or business emergency that requests some sort of amount of money. So, you know, oh, you know, I really think we have something serious. Can you send me $1,000 to help me cover electrical damage for my house? You know, that kind of thing. Even though you've never met them or seen their house. So, you know, is this true? I don't know. So key takeaway there, if an online relationship moves quickly and results in requests for money or financial aid, it is probably a scam. You know, not saying online dating isn't a thing, it's very prevalent nowadays, but you know, just be cautious and be careful. Next one that I wanted to talk about is investment scams. where people try to convince you to transfer money into a non-existent investment. A lot of these are offshore bank accounts, or here's a great investment opportunity to buy property in an overseas country, or something like that, or timeshares. It's too good to be true. Will you ever see this return on investment? Probably not. Red flags for these are, the investment company approached you out of the blue. So if you are interested in making an investment, like any good investor, do research, look into the background of the company, make sure, what you're investing in aligns with your, morals, beliefs, and what other things you want to support. And then also, don't fall into the time pressure and sense of urgency they like to create. Like, oh, this investment, it won't last very long, or the offer will expire soon, or, everyone's buying it. But, if everyone's buying it, is it a good investment? Because then you're not getting the maximum return on your investment. But yeah, if the offer is too good to be true, they are offering high returns for low risk, it probably is too good to be true. I was told, when investing, just put your money in, let the interest grow, and do safe things like, health, technology, all that kind of stuff. But maybe I'm not a risk taker, so don't take investment advice from me. Yeah. But yeah, another key red flag is the investment company or the advisor is based out of America. There's a lot less regulations outside of America when it comes to like investment companies. So your money is less protected, if not protected at all. So that's why a lot of these investment companies are overseas, because they can't get it back once it's converted and all that. But yeah, any questions so far? Yeah.
In the last month, I've received 2 e-bites from my cousin and one of my best friends, and they were both scams.
Oh, wow.
It said download and open this e-bite, and then it says, oh, you can't open it on your phone, you have to open it on your computer. And I, well, that's weird. So I called them and I said, how come I can't open this?
Yeah.
And they said it's a scam, and what happened with them was somebody got their contact information off their computer or their phone. They didn't know who got these e-bites. It could have been all of their contacts or random ones.
Mm-hmm.
And there were no e-bites. So,
Yeah.
and they were good friends, and one I knew was going to have something coming up, and the other one I knew they weren't. So it was weird, because it's been in the last month.
Yeah, so an audience member recently got 2 emails from 2 separate people asking or inviting them to an invitation. So they said they called the people, verified that the e-invite was not actually from the real person, and then the real people said, oh, they got my information somehow, and now they're sending e-invites to people that I know, like Sandy, for example, inviting them to try and get her information. So what I can say to that is goes back to phishing, for example. So, if you I'm sure everyone's gotten Facebook messages like, oh, is this you in this video? Or, oh, what are you doing in this video? Here's a strange link that you should go visit and watch this video of you doing something strange. But then it asks you to log in to your Google account or your Facebook account, and then that's how they get your username, your password for Google or Facebook, and then they can look through your emails or your Facebook messages and see what kind of events and people you know, and then it spirals, oh, let's say Sandy's really interested in Pekingese homeowners, and then they can target everyone else who owns a Pekingese dog like Cutie Pie or Sunshine, so it spirals away. So anyways, just be careful what information you put out on the internet and what information you give out to people from the internet, and what links you click.
What's your feeling about surveys?
Surveys? I don't do them unless it's something I know, like for example, back to the health partners calling you a bunch. Usually they have a survey on feedback. How did your visit go? How is your provider? I do surveys like that, but if it's a survey for, what do you think of the recent ruling on the boundary waters? Like, that's usually a scam, any political related content or, like,
What about clothing?
Clothing, if you ordered clothing recently, I'd say it's safe. Otherwise, if, they want your feedback on, a shawl when you've never worn a shawl, for example, then it could be a scam.
But if you sent something as a gift,
Oh, that, like from Amazon or something?
or LLB.
Oh, yeah, that's usually safe. Yeah.
Talbots or whatever.
Yeah, that's usually safe. And they usually have the LL Bean Talbot's sender address. Yeah. So the question was, what if you receive a survey in your email? Is that safe? If you purchased something recently, like clothing, for example, you sent it to your grandkid, and LLB wants to know, how did your experience go with online ordering and the quality of the product? That's usually safe, but if you get something unexpected, like, do this survey and you'll get $100 to McDonald's, that's usually a scam. I'd love a $100 gift card to McDonald's, but yeah. So common misconceptions about scams. Are people in your age group targeted more? No, they are not. Are you more susceptible? No, you are not, especially in today's day and age with AI. And most importantly, should you feel embarrassed or ashamed? No, you should not. It can happen to everyone. I've almost fallen for a couple. I know coworkers that have fallen for scams, and we all work in this industry. So, it's nothing to feel embarrassed about. As Jean mentioned, people do this for a living, and, they've really taken time to hone in their skills. Would you feel bad to losing to Serena Williams in a tennis match? I wouldn't, but, she's trained for that. So, according to this US Census Bureau for data in 2021, a lot of the scams recently impacted, 86% here impacted young adults 18 through 59, and older adults were only affected 14%. But the big reason why online shopping now, scams are becoming prevalent is because of AI, and you can see a really cute coat you like, and AI can make it look better than it actually is, or you order something from China and when it gets there it's not a minx coat, it's like synthetic, yeah, you can see the seams, it's not high quality, the fabric's really cheap. Online shopping's a really big place where scams happen, especially now with AI too. You could, like, I'm a crafter, so I like crocheting, knitting, cross-stitching, all these different things, and when you see a cute crochet item, you're like, oh, that looks cute, I'm gonna buy the pattern off Etsy. But now on Etsy, they have these things where they make AI patterns and they generate AI images, so then when you actually try to follow along on the pattern, it doesn't look anything like what you see in the picture. So that is also another way where online shopping impacts it.
Same line, I had one from, they said it was Joanne.com, and it was, I knew they were going out of business. It was just, and it was should be too good to be true. But it was, you get 90%.
Yeah.
That again, and it looked exactly like Joanne.
Yeah. So an audience member recently got an email because Joanne Fabrics went out of business. So they got an email from a scammer that looked exactly like the legit Joanne Fabrics. And these scammers are trying to take advantage of real world happenings to get money. So she was offered 90% off, like, the already closeout sale, which is, I'd rush to Joann's as a crafter. Like, fabric's expensive, yarn's expensive, but yeah, they try to take advantage of things that are happening. So, yeah.
Okay, so it's time when we usually stop. Do you want Ping to briskly go through the rest, or do you want to carry on like we've been carrying on? With a show of hands, kind of like we did that other day. How many people want to stay? Okay, so it really is, most of you want to get home. How are you
Okay.
going to do that?
Yeah, we can finish it. I have a couple things left. Simple ways to stay secure. Choose strong passwords, you know. If you have Facebook and you post your grandkids or your grandkids are on Facebook, maybe grandkids 123, you know, their names is not a secure password. Sandy on her handout has this website, www.haveibeenpwnedpwned.com. You can enter your email there and see, you know, if your email has been compromised or your password has been compromised, like any passwords associated with your email has been compromised. So that's a really good resource. I'm a huge advocate of using password managers, so Apple devices have a built-in one. I think Google also does as well, or Android. So, you know, you don't have to memorize any passwords, just have them generate one, store it in your phone. It's good. Utilize two-factor authentication. I know that's really annoying too. You know, you want to call your bank sometimes just to get a quick balance, but then you have to answer all these different questions about, you know, where were you married? What's your last four? All these different things. But that does keep you secure because, you know, who else is going to know where you were married or what the last four digits of your social was? So they just want to, the bank is not trying to do that just to be cumbersome. They're just trying to keep your information secure. Update. Oh, yeah.
On the two password or the two steps, what about the code verification?
Code verification is good, especially if they send a code to your email or your cell phone, because nobody else can receive text messages on your cell phone because that number is unique. Email, you know, as long as someone doesn't have your password and is logged in somewhere else, that's also pretty secure. But yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
I don't quite understand the passphrase.
The passphrase, so think of it as 4 things you see around a house, the house. So like sink, bedding, sunshine, and then lamppost. 4 unrelated words that you can chain together to make a password instead of password 123 or, you know, I love bagels, like, you know, something like that.
So when you're gonna go when you set up something and set up a password, can you set up a passphrase instead?
Yeah, your passphrase can be your password. A password is just yeah, it's the same thing. But yeah, in the interest of time, we'll keep going. Privacy, I mentioned this before. Be mindful of what you do and share online. Make sure your privacy settings on social media are private or contain to only your friends list. And then just make sure websites are secure before submitting personal information. So, you know, don't click into the email link and enter data, that sort of thing. Oh, what?
How safe are password managers?
I think they're pretty safe, especially if they're stored locally and, you know, for example, if you have a notebook and you keep it in your safe where you put other important documents like your passport and birth certificate, no one else has access to that. On your phone, that's pretty secure as well. They encrypt it, and so people can't just easily, you know, open it up and look into it.
They put this aspect of creating a password, and that's pretty safe.
Yep. So when Google offers to create a password for you, that's pretty safe.
And then you don't have to ever use it because they,
Yeah, you don't have to remember it. As long as you know your Google account password, then it's pretty secure. But yeah, last important details, what to do if you or someone you know has been targeted. Contact your bank and other financial institutions, so just make sure you safeguard your money in your accounts. Request a recall and a hold of harmless letter or indemnification documents as soon as possible. Protect your credit. Contact the 3 major credit bureaus just to freeze your credit accounts so people can't open new credit cards in your name, and then notify authorities. So, you know, the police, the FBI, what have you. The Obama administration set up an Internet Crime Complaint Center through the FBI to help prevent and track and stop elder fraud abuse, so they have a hotline. It's here, it's also in the handouts that you received. You can submit a complaint online, and then if you need help, you can also call the 1-883-FRAUD-11 number. So that's a very good resource. They have very good people, knowledgeable people that are willing to help. Yeah. Main takeaway is just stop for a moment and think before doing anything rash. This can happen to anyone. It's not your fault. Know where to report and get help, and then don't let embarrassment or shame stop you from reporting it as well, because it could help the next person. And you know, Jean and Sandy sharing their stories today might be a little embarrassing for them, but now you guys, you know, have something to think about and keep in mind. But yeah, then we did questions along the way, but you know.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's amazing, and thank you all for coming.
Went a little longer, but I saw 2 questions. Yeah.
On your handout, I just wanted to verify, the last page, notify authorities, contact our authorities, and file a report with. Tell me what those letters are, they can see.
I see 3, I think.
IC3.gov.